Hello and welcome to Between the Studs. I am your host Daniel, and today we are joined by
Alex. Hey everyone.
And
Ethan. How's
Nice.
it going?
So today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite movie series that used to be a trilogy and has since been sullied
Expanded.
by expanded, I guess would be a nicer word for it. We're talking about Indiana Jones today. So we're going to be talking about all the fantastic sets from Indiana Jones, as well as some other kind of oddball items out there in the Lego world that were released under the Indiana Jones name, as well as things that they never made, what we wish they had made in terms of minifigures or sets or things like that. So without further ado, I think it makes the most sense to go through the sets kind of by movie rather than by year. I think it'll be a little bit more of an interesting way to group it, and then we can kind of compare and contrast the older versions of the sets with the remakes.
That sounds good. It's really interesting because there's only 3 years that they released sets. So
That's right.
But we
And
did get a lot.
There was
Even though
an
it's only
over
3
10-year
years.
gap
Yeah.
between two of those.
Very limited run, but we actually did get a pretty good spread, I feel like.
That's right. Yeah, we were
For what we got.
able to pull a pretty good number of sets out of the case here. So we were going to start off, of course, with Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first and I would say
So
the
good,
best
yeah.
one. I would say the
Classic
best for sure.
cinema.
So we will start off with some of these early sets from 2008 that were based on Raiders of the Lost Ark. So the first one that we have here is called The Lost Tomb. And that was a set, let's see, where is it? There it is. So this was the first iteration of the sort of Well of Souls set. I don't know why they never called it the Well of Souls either time that they made
That
this
is
set.
fascinating, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's what I think of it as being called, but maybe Lego decided that name wouldn't resonate with people, or they wouldn't know
It can
that
be
that
hard
was
to
called.
remember that.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Unless you're,
I
a
feel
huge
I
fan.
feel like the Lost Tomb is very vague, though. Like, it could be this one, or it could, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it is pretty generic. There's lots of temples and
Yeah.
tombs and things, and they kind
Yeah.
of run together.
It's very
So, an interesting choice. But I think this was a great set nonetheless. You, of course, get the two large, iconic Anubis statues with some nice stickers for their eyes. You get the C-3PO and the R2-D2
That
reference in there.
Easter egg is so hilarious.
That's
it's
a very
so
good
good too.
Yeah, I'm also very partial to this sort of classic version of the Ark of the Covenant. I like this one a lot, and it's sort of weird. We'll talk about it a little later on. In the truck set, it was completely different. They just did like
Yeah,
a
it's a
gold
gold
treasure
chest, yeah.
So I don't know why,
So
but yeah. Anyway, I think this is a pretty classic set here. It had all the basic play features for that you would expect for the time in 2008. So kind of taking that next step up of being a little better than an adventurer set, but still not quite up to what we would consider modern standards. Did either of you guys have any of these sets? You can feel free to chime in if you had them or had any particular nostalgia or anything for them.
Yeah, my dad actually has that one, and it was. I think I actually built it. It was really fun.
Nice.
Normally, it comes with a bunch of snakes right up here on top of the
that's
the
right,
R2D2
yeah.
and C-3PO thing, and you can dump probably 10, 15 snakes
That's awesome.
out of that little hatch, and I think it's a lot sturdier than the new one, actually, because if you move the new one around, they're not held in place, so the Anubis statue will fall and just crush the wall all the time.
Oh, gee,
But-
he's just kind of resting on there.
Yeah, he just sits there, but that one, it comes with a pin, which I think is a little bit better engineered, and I think that one looks like more of an enclosed structure too, as to the newer version. It's just kind of more open.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, next we will talk about Race for the Stolen Treasure. So this is the one I was talking about a second ago. This is sort of the covered truck there. This is the one also where Indy is going under the truck and climbing all over the radiator and everything, getting dragged on the ground. I still don't know why they did. It's a metallic gold treasure chest, which is a fantastic piece, but it's just kind of odd that it was different in two different sets. It was like they could have just gone with one or the other. But I guess I'm still glad that we got both things. It was just kind of very strange. Did either of you guys ever have this set as a kid, or do you have it now?
One of my friends did, and I always wanted it. I still haven't gotten it, so
Yeah.
it's still on the list.
I was definitely jealous of that gold treasure chest, especially having played the video games, which I think we'll talk about a little later, where the mini kits were little golden treasure chests,
Amazing.
which was cool. We'll also talk about a little later on about the representation of military aspects in the Lego sets, because that's definitely something that Lego typically avoids, but is obviously very prevalent in this theme, maybe
Yeah.
more so than any
It
other.
really is.
So yeah, we'll talk about that a little later on. But this was a cool truck. You got the fabric piece on the back was pretty nice for that canopy. The next one we got is the Temple Escape. So this, of course, is the iconic original largest set, I believe, of that first wave in 2008. So you had that giant Duplo boulder for the rock. You had the
The
metallic gold idol. So what do you guys think about this one?
I think it's an absolute classic. An absolute classic.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that the plane was included in that one.
That's true. Yeah, the remake didn't
Yeah.
have the plane for this one. Yeah.
I remember going to the store and buying this one, and it's one of my most beloved sets from when I was growing up.
Nice.
Just
Yeah.
so many fun action features, especially the boulder. Played endless hours with that.
For sure. Do you still have this
so
set?
iconic. I don't. I actually sold a lot of it to Chris back in the day.
Oh,
so
man.
he really wanted that boulder. So.
That boulder alone is worth, what is it now? $30, $50, $60 or
Same
something?
with that original idol is worth about $40.
Yeah. Yeah, you can look it up. Yeah, that idol is interesting because the new one is so similar to it. There's
It
like
looks
some
almost
minor
identical, yeah.
differences, but yeah, it's amazing
Makes
how
it
much
different.
some of those
Yeah.
parts from the original one are worth. That boulder for sure is one of the highlights. Some nice stickers in this set too. I feel like those were pretty well done. So yeah, that is the Temple Escape. Then the next one, moving into 2009, we had the Ambush in Cairo. This was sort of a smaller set, not really very displayable. It was just kind of lots of little small things. I think one of the only remarkable things about this set was you got the big barrel in tan, which I think is still a pretty rare color for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just get that kind of iconic joke scene where he, brings the gun to the knife fight,
Yeah.
basically.
That's such a fascinating scene because they didn't plan on that in the movie. I think Harrison Ford was sick,
Yeah.
and so they're, okay, we can't have an actual like sword and sword battle. Let's go ahead and use your gun.
That's so funny. He
It
didn't.
turned out to be one of the most
Yeah.
iconic scenes in the movie.
Yeah, they had done like the whole fight choreography, and he just
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
feel like doing it.
Swordsman was very disappointed. I
Yeah, I'm
remember.
sure. He still got to do his little flourish
His
thing.
little
but
flip, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Then our last 2009 set based on Raiders, and this one, this is one of my favorites. The Fight on the Flying Wing. This
I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
believe we got this.
I know, this humongous plane using the standard plane wing from like most of the city sets, but a very
Done really
unconventional
well,
type
yeah.
of plane. It's more like a stealth bomber sort of type of
Yeah.
plane.
I can't
which
believe
is-
Lego made this. This is
It's
This
stunning.
is very hyper militaristic.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no symbology or logos present on this plane. We don't need to go into too much detail about that. But yeah, obviously a very militaristic plane. You've got guns and aiming crosshairs everywhere. You've got the blades which chop the guy up.
Yeah.
If you want to make that a play feature, you've got the gas truck which explodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a very, very militaristic kind of set, but a fantastic one nonetheless. Large usage of stickers on this set, but I think it worked pretty well. Sometimes we get these in and the stickers are just all over the place, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, really great set for sure. I did have this one as a kid, and I played with it a lot. It was really
Yeah.
cool. It's kind of a unconventional type of airplane, but really nice color scheme, nice play features and everything. So
It's
I like
massive in person. I've never had this one, and it's just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
huge.
absolutely.
I like that it comes with like everything you'd need to recreate the scene, because
Mhm.
most I feel like sets just kind of always leave out something, but you got
Yeah.
just about everything you want.
You got that big muscly guy for
Yeah.
sure, so you could stand next to the
You
thing
just
and
chop 'em
stuff.
up, yeah.
Let's see, and then our last, we got two more based on Raiders of the Lost Ark, but they were the 2023 wave. So again, we're talking about 2009 to 2023. So this is a 14-year
big
gap
jump.
before they remade two of these sets
Long
from that
time.
wave. Do you want to talk about these,
Yeah.
Ethan?
Yeah, so we got the second edition of the Lost Tomb, which is also the Well of Souls, but
Mhm.
I think it's a really good display piece, more than a playset. I feel like, because it's very unstable, I would say, because I do have this one, but I
Mhm.
think it looks great on display. The figures are amazing. The mummy's really cool. So
And it's got that like larger section that comes out the back, right?
yeah, that's like kind of like where Marion like falls into that tomb, and they all
Yeah.
kind of
That's
just
a nice addition.
kind of like fall out of the walls or whatever. And that's
I
a
think
fun-
it's like
fun
cool
feature.
for the play features, but I feel like
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the set could have been okay without it. I feel like it's making it more unstable and not adding it to them, but...
I really wish there was some way to sort of hold up the Anubis statues.
Or if they had done it coming out of the side, so it was kind of like one continuous base, rather than like... It seems like this kind of self-contained thing like the first one with this just like big peninsula sticking out the back. But
I do like the feature where you can turn a lever and snakes will fall out of the wall.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
I think
same
that's
thing
very
with the snake
creative,
trap.
very fun.
I think the biggest highlight is the better sculpting and stickers on the Anubis statues. I think they look really nice.
I think they do look good.
I think the Ark got a little bit of a downgrade.
The Ark is probably the worst part of the set. Marion actually got dual molded legs, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's
nice
a nice
for her.
feature.
They went all out.
Also,
and we finally get Sala.
Yeah,
finally.
First Sala minifigure,
Sala
yes.
as well, and for only $40, like it's really hard to find something wrong with this besides like the Ark of the Covenant.
It's such
It
a
was a good
deal.
value.
It's a very good value, very good set.
How many pieces again on that one?
600.
What do we have it for?
$40.
Is it still retail?
It's still
Licensed.
retail for
Still retail.
$40.
$40. That's a good deal.
And it's licensed.
It's a
too,
steal of a
which
deal for a
Yeah.
great
I
set.
can't believe it's
Lots of exclusive fun figures.
Yeah.
So
Remember
Sala-
people saying $60 before it came
Yeah.
out,
Right,
and
yeah.
like maybe $70, and then it's $40.
And
It's
it's
like,
like,
wow.
yeah.
Sala was definitely a notable absence from that first wave, so I think a lot of people were glad that we finally
very
got
glad
him.
we finally got him. For sure.
Now, did this one also have the C-3PO R2-D2 reference in it on one of the stickers?
It actually is where it's supposed to be in the movies, where it's on this little
Yeah,
archway
on
that's
the side of that.
that's in front of the Covenant.
Nice.
Which is, I think it's on one of the side tiles, which is probably my biggest problem with the original, is that it's on two different tiles. So if you don't take it apart, you could risk ripping the sticker, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it was a different era.
And there's
different
other
time
Easter
period.
eggs, like there's a Golly mask I just saw in there,
Yeah.
Bionicle.
That's
There
true.
is-
They did work in
That's-
some extra
There is a
ones.
I love
Bionicle
that.
mask there somewhere. I think this is also a Crystal Skull reference, maybe?
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
it just kind of looked
Could
like
be.
one. Yeah,
It
interesting.
doesn't look like a regular skull, but yeah. Very
I think
cool.
the designers had a lot of fun with
Oh,
this
I'm
one.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, this would also be a good opportunity to talk about sort of some of the updates they did to the minifigures. So Indiana Jones, obviously being the main character, got a major upgrade here. I would say I really like the dual molded
I love it,
hat and
yeah.
hair,
Yeah, it turned out nice.
because he gets the dark brown hair contrasted with the reddish brown hat, as well as the dark brown sort of band around the fedora. Gives it a nice little extra bit of contrast there.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed there's also a Shankara stone reference right there as well.
Wow.
Nice. Wow, they
So
just
many,
loaded this one
yeah.
full of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
That's
So many
fantastic.
references.
I also really enjoy the gloves on Indiana Jones. They're they're very barely noticeable, but I feel like they go a long way as far as detail goes.
Those dark tan hands, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty subtle, but nice addition. That is kind of one thing that they can do to redeem having stickers in a set, is by working in lots of fun Easter eggs that actually makes you excited about the stickers.
Yeah, there's the R2-D2 and
Nice,
C-3PO right there.
awesome.
Nice.
And then let's see, our last one here from the updated ones is the Temple of the Golden Idol, which I think is a more accurate title, I would say, than the original one, which was just Temple Escape. So now you have this one, Ethan. Do you have this one, Alex?
I don't yet.
Okay.
I need to get it before. I think most of these new ones are retiring at the end of the year. So
Are
if you
they?
got to
Okay.
get it, it's a good time because
Yeah.
they will go up in value.
Yeah.
No doubt
Yeah,
about
for
it.
sure.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite set from last year besides Rivendell. I think it's a beautiful display piece. There's tons of fun features, which are becoming surprisingly rare on LEGO sets these days.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like they're kind of dropping play features a little bit, which is unfortunate to see.
Well, especially given that they made this one with like the black base, clearly as like a more adult-oriented set. Now it didn't have the full like 18+ box art, did it?
I believe it was all black.
I think
Oh,
it was.
maybe it was.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it
it
was.
All right. So it was different box art than these
It
other
was.
ones. Interesting.
It was like an 18+ block.
Okay, so they
Black
clearly
box,
marketed this
yeah.
one more at adults, but they still loaded it with play features. So it's kind
Yeah.
of this interesting.
The
sort of
boulder
hybrid.
mechanism is amazing. It's so smooth.
Yeah.
It's near perfect. The drop down door is very fun. Yeah, you got the swinging rope and the whole thing.
And you get the light brick
Such a
in there as
cool
well,
system.
which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, we already mentioned you get the metallic gold idol again, which is near identical. I think there are some minor differences. I think they are distinguished on Bricklink, which you can find out. But
Yeah.
cool to see that part made a return, because they basically nailed it the first time. So
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't make it like pearl gold or something.
Yeah,
It's
that
kind of a
would be
cop out. It wouldn't have
unfortunate.
looked right. This is metallic gold is the next best thing to chrome,
Yeah.
I would say. But yeah, lots of fun play features. Really nice minifigures as well. I liked seeing the all nougat minifigure there
Yeah.
for the Jovitos.
Yeah, that's really well done.
I also
And
like
then getting the quote tiles kind of on the front.
The Indiana Jones is exclusive because he has that spiderweb covered face, which is a very nice feature.
Yeah. A lot of color in this set. Surprisingly, for a relatively kind of colorless scene, they really did kind of up the contrast here, introducing some medium nougats, some turquoise, some sand green, really some dark orange. So
even
they kind of made it more colorful than it needed to be to make it a little more playful. Mm-hmm. But very nice set for sure. Let's see. So next we are going to roll on to the Temple of Doom, from which we have only ever had 2 sets amongst all waves and years. They were both from 2009, so there weren't even any Temple of Doom sets in the original 2008 wave. So in 2009, of course, we got the Temple of Doom set, which is the one with the large roller coaster track mine train thing, which I did have this set. And it was a fun set, but it was very hard to display because it takes up a lot of space. It's very hard to move without breaking it.
Very.
So it was not without its issues, but I think one of the areas that it shined in was the minifigures.
Absolutely.
So we
very
got
detailed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
do you want to talk about that some more, Alex?
Yeah, this was one of my white whale sets growing up that I never got.
Yeah.
So I recently got it this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Rebuilt it. It was a lot of fun. I love how
Did you buy it new sealed or which condition?
I didn't. I bought it just built here, so it was missing some things. Nice. So I completed it.
Nice.
Which was a fun project. I bought the minifigures separately.
Yeah, you get a good deal and then put a little TLC into it.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So it was really a dream come true. I enjoyed. I watched the movie while I built it. It was just fun because it reenacts so much of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
From the big sacrifice pit all the way to the mine cart chase.
Yeah.
And there's just different little play features and stuff, but the minifigs really are the highlight because they're just so detailed. I mean, even Molaram, like the little skull in there is like detailed and stuff with a face, just very
little
fine
shrunken
details.
head thing on the front.
I mean, they're pretty exclusive figures in there. The Thuggy Warrior. Fortunately, the dark red on there does crack very easily. So I think he's the most expensive Indiana Jones figure because of that, and like new condition.
That's sort of your modified. I think he's down there,
which is really surprising. You might not think it would be him, but it is. So, and I think people want to get a lot of him for different scenes and stuff, for mocks and so forth. But yeah, it was a great set, and I'm really glad that we got it. Now we were supposed to get.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it now, because otherwise we just talk about it later. You can go ahead and keep talking about it.
So I originally, because I got the old one this year, but I originally was just going to get the new one that came out. I was so excited for it. Some pictures got leaked. They had gone pretty far in the process of developing this set, and at the last minute they pulled it, and so we didn't get this new version, which is so sad. It looked really good. Lego backed out there, but many people in the community have recreated the set based on those preliminary pictures and the box art. And you also recreated these, right, Ethan?
I recreated the minifigures, yes. Daniel is actually working on recreating the actual
off
set.
And on.
Yeah.
And this is what's so frustrating to me is they canceled it so late in the process, enough that the little printed like voodoo dolls came out. What else is leaked from this?
I think it's just the voodoo doll.
Is that the only thing that's come out?
That I've seen, yeah.
I was thinking there was something else, but maybe not. But there are some people who've gotten some like prototypes of the little statuette voodoo doll. And yet we still just have the blurriest images of the box art. And people have tried to like clean them up using AI and stuff, but that never really...
You still can't see
that
the
never
bricks
works.
as well.
And I mean, I've recreated, prototype and unreleased sets before, and this one is just giving me such a headache because the images are just a little too blurry to be able to tell what's going on. So I've done it mostly to where I want to get it, but I keep holding out hope that eventually somebody's gonna find a box in the trash or something and be able to take a picture of it and post it online, or eventually maybe they'll put it in some book or something, and I can hopefully do a little bit better of a job. But we'll include some pictures here of what I've got so far. But yeah, really a shame that this one didn't come out. And there's a lot of different speculation about why it did or didn't come out, either just because of sort of the subject matter of the movie compared to maybe some of the representation of some of the minifigures could have been issues. So I don't know if we'll ever know the exact reason why it was canceled, but it I think it was a shame, given that we were only got 3 sets and we were supposed to get 4, and now it seems like
it looked like a great set too.
It did.
It was very compact, but looked like it had a lot of features.
Yeah, using the roller coaster track was a great update. But yeah, pretty disappointing that we'll probably never see it again at this point, because I think the rumor is that these Indiana Jones sets have not sold super well, so they may not likely be doing it again in the near future.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate, because I love these sets.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so then our second Temple of Doom set was the Shanghai Chase. So this was the sort of 2 small cars that took place in one of the opening scenes when they were sort of chasing after each other. So we got a lot of extra great minifigures in this one. You got the Willie Scott in the sort of red dress. She had like this cool like transparent crown thing in her hair. That was
really
cool.
very detailed.
And I'm trying to think if there was any. There we go. There's that one. They were pretty cool cars. I mean, they were those kind of like 1920s, 30s style cars.
Yeah,
you had
got that across.
The kind of mobsters chasing after him. So pretty nice set. The Indiana Jones in the white.
I'm a big
the
fan
white
of that
tuxedo.
look. I think it looks really cool.
I think it's a unique torso too.
I think it is.
Same with the mobsters too. People love using these parts for mocks of different things, because Lego just hasn't really done much with the 20s overall, and so we really got some great parts and pieces from this kit.
Yeah, I think this would have been another really cool one to update. They could have, done maybe one of the cars and had Short Round in there with like some plates stuck on his feet for like the wooden blocks that he's using to drive. I would have loved to see like maybe a facade of the club with the like Club Obi-Wan sign. That's something that people think is funny, and then like a giant round thing for that big like gong that they're like hiding behind really as it rolls. I I think this could have been a cool.
It'd be a nice companion set if you had something.
That would be a really nice.
Especially if depending on the issues with the Temple of Doom set. If it was like a subject matter issue, maybe this would have been further away from it. But it's hard to say. But anyway, Temple of Doom fans, sorry, but we'll move on now to I would say probably the second best movie, which is The Last Crusade. So we will go back all the way to 2008 now.
Yeah, and speaking of favorite movie, drop a comment below. Let us know your favorite Indiana Jones movie in order, your favorite Indiana Jones Lego set. Make sure to like the video. It really helps us out. And subscribe if you haven't.
We appreciate it. So we'll talk about the motorcycle chase first. Pretty small set, but I think a fun play set that kind of a lot of kids have. We don't get a lot of motorcycles with sidecars in Lego, apart from
we really don't.
Maybe Batman or something, so it's kind of cool to see this. But, a pretty basic set. Fun play set for kids, but nothing too crazy. Then in 2000, that was the only one we had in 2008 for Last Crusade.
I do we got one in 2008.
Yeah.
I do remember having that one as a kid. It was fun.
And then not until 2009 did we get some more, so we had the Venice Canal Chase. That's a
beautiful set.
This is a really good set. I really like these the boats. That's a very iconic aspect of Venice. The little bridge is just kind of to give it some atmosphere.
I love the little spot where they come up out of the sewer and there's a little rat there.
Yeah,
just a little thing that Lego put in.
Sort of a nod to the remainder of that series. I think this would have been another great one to update. I mean, these canal boats could have looked really clean and polished if they had done an updated version of them.
Yeah,
could have looked really fresh. But yeah, didn't get that. But we'll talk again more later in the video about other sets and things that we wished we had gotten. And then let's see. The next one we got in 2009 was the Fighter Plane Attack. So this was the original version that had the sort of two planes chasing after each other. We had the white biplane that Indy and his dad are flying in, where his dad shoots the tail off the plane.
I love that moment when he's like, "Sorry, son, they got us."
And
so every time I just.
Then you've got the gray other fighter plane there in the back. So what did you guys think about this one?
I think it's a very fun one. I'm pretty sure I recall seeing the bullet damage on the fin. I think it was a sticker element that they put on there, which is a very fun.
It's a nice detail.
Fun feature, yeah.
For sure. I just like any kind of 2-in-1 sets like this. It's fun to have not just one build, but two things to swoosh around, or if you've got siblings or friends or something, you can fly them around.
That's really nice.
and have fun. So these original waves obviously were more kid oriented than the later ones, so it kind of makes sense. And then let's see, our last one, again jumping forward to 2023, was the remake of that set called Fighter Plane Chase. Now, for whatever reason, now the fighter plane got a major glow up in this set. I would say you've got some nice camouflage stickers. You've got these cool like boat oars for the propeller. So a lot of nice details on there.
I love how the wings can pop off, so you can be in that tunnel, and the guy they just look over at him.
There's like fire pieces as well stuck to the side under the wings. So
it's a little bit of transparent horns in there.
Indy's dad also got a nice update with his journal on a printed 1x1 tile, which is cool.
Yeah, the journal's a cool part. It's also it's cool that they did the box art on the back with like the sparks shooting out
in the scene.
So adding the car, I think, was a cool way to kind of update this and sort of change the parameters. We should have gotten some. We should have gotten some seagulls in this set. I feel like.
Yeah, so that would have been the most thing.
Given Henry his
because he has an umbrella, right, in the set.
Does he?
Yeah,
I think
like
it does come in the. There it is.
Okay,
you're right.
It's like hidden in the trunk. Yeah, they
Yeah.
could have just put a seagull piece in there. That would have been funny because that's such a funny scene.
I do appreciate they gave Indiana Jones his tie in this one. This is the first time they've ever done that.
That's true.
And he wears his black tie for most of the movie.
Throughout that whole movie.
Yeah, probably till like the very end, but.
Those little
very
details
nice
go a long way.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, so that should pretty much do it for Last Crusade. Definitely, again, not a ton of sets from that movie, but some good ones nonetheless. The movie that got the most sets, of course, because it was timely when these sets were coming out, was Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull is growing on me. I don't know if this is sort of like the Star Wars effect, where it's like when a new worse thing comes out, you kind of go back and appreciate the older ones that everyone used to hate on.
Yeah.
So I still don't love it. It's still probably my fourth favorite, but it's definitely growing on me more now. So from the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, we got a number of sets here as well. The first one we had was the Jungle Duel. This was the small set that came with the fabric tent, as well as some of the fire ant pieces. So did you guys collect a lot of these sets from Temple of the Crystal Skull, or was it kind of not interesting to you at that time period?
I think I actually missed out on most of these.
Okay.
I remember having the chase with the motorcycle sidecar from the third one. I think that was about it, though. I think I missed out on most of the fourth movie ones.
Okay. How about you, Alex?
Well, I was really excited. Lego Indiana Jones coming out. Got the video game. Got as many of the sets I could. So I got a lot of the Crystal Skull ones because that was a lot with the initial release. This was one of the ones that I got. I just didn't really like that tent piece. It was something really unique. I could use it with that or in different Indiana Jones moments, or just anything really I wanted it to be. So
this was basically the same tent shape and structure as like the classic Adventures ones, which I think is also really cool. That they're kind of cross compatible like that. You could kind of interchange them.
Did you have any of these, Daniel?
I did not have this one. I think I did have some of the other ones from Crystal Skull, but I'll have to wait till we get to remember, honestly. I certainly don't have any of them together anymore.
Do you remember if there was like a build inside the tent, or was it just like the tent?
No, it was just the tent on the outside.
Yeah, you sort of had your like table with a map, which I think you could put in there if you wanted to, but it's kind of hard to access the inside of the tent.
Yeah.
The dual molded fire ants were cool. They were a nice piece.
Those are nice.
This is probably the set where you get the most of them, and there's only 2 in it, unless there were more in that one.
Yeah.
So not quite enough to like swarm over the guy and devour him whole, but
that's quite a moment.
At least if you.
Cool pieces nonetheless, for sure. So let's see, that was the Jungle Duel from 2008. So all of these are going to be from 2008 except for one, which is kind of random. The next one we got was the River Chase. So kind of another iconic scene here. You get the sort of raft style boat, and then the kind of amphibious boat car.
Yeah, we have that
thing.
right here.
Yeah,
that's a fun one.
Yeah, it's actually very compact, really well built.
Yeah, it looks like a boat boat thing.
It's actually a scene in the movie I did quite enjoy when Marion drove it off the tree and everybody's like freaking out.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was a very sort of clever way that they did that in the movie, I think, to like give a very unconventional terrain to an otherwise, kind of standard fight scene.
Yeah.
So I think that was one thing that's still one of the redeeming qualities of Crystal Skull.
For sure.
But yeah, you got the boat car, you got the raft, you got an alligator, which is great. Who doesn't love to get alligators?
There's a dark green one too, right?
Dark green, yep.
Yeah.
And then there was sort of like a tree stand with like a big net. I guess it's some camouflage. Then after that, we got the jungle cutter. I feel like this is one that a lot of people had. I feel like this was a pretty popular one, just because it was like a giant tank with these saw blades on the front of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which was a little hard to believe in the movie. I think it was
That was.
getting into a little too much fantasy, but
Yeah.
maybe it's grounded in reality. Maybe the Russians really did have these giant saw tanks, but it made for a good set nonetheless, I think. What do you guys think about this one?
I mean, you could easily make an actual tank out of this one, so I can see its popularity back then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got those big tank treads, and of course the giant saw blades are just cool pieces. And yeah, so this one we got 5 of those fire ants, so that's probably enough to devour a minifig, I would say. So yeah, pretty cool set there. You got Indiana Jones with the rocket launcher as well to blow it up.
Do you know if the blades shot out like in the movie? Do you know if that was like a play feature?
I don't.
I
don't
feel like
know
it
if
might
they
have
shot
been.
out.
My brother had this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only had a friend that had this one. I know they did have like tires underneath, so that when you rolled it along, they did spin.
Oh, that's
for
fun.
sure. And the tree pieces had just sort of one of the like softer plastic plants built into them on the dish. So if you did run into them at speed with the saw blades, it would kind of knock them off of the spaces pretty easily.
Nice.
So it worked pretty well as a play feature. Let's see. Next up was the biggest one, the Temple of the Crystal Skull. Now this one I did have. This was a very cool set.
That's a good one to have.
One of the last sets that ever came on a raised base plate, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
we need more of those.
it is pretty sad. But you got that big dark tan raised base plate, tons of play features, and that's why I just always love like big temple sets. You had the stairs on the front that would blow out. You had like a cool waterfall piece. A lot of flick fire missiles in this set. That was maybe not one of the not one of the better.
It was
qualities.
all the rage then, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the rage as much as it hurt your fingernails. But yeah, sort of kind of the other iconic part in that movie is when like the big pylons on top kind of come together in the center. So you did get that play feature. And then you got the giant spinning UFO room at the end with the
that's wacky.
with the minifigs. But yeah, we got one of those crystal skull minifigures over there. If you want to talk about that.
Piece is incredible.
This is a very fun figure. I think it's like injected through the back, but like it's like this blue brain. It looks like it's very cool. It's actually really detailed for being like 2008.
Yeah.
I really like the teeth molded is really cool, and lots of very fun features.
Yeah, they weren't really doing a lot of dual molding back then, so this was
it's a very nice piece for
kind of
being
an early way that they did it.
It's incredible.
And I think it might have only been possible maybe because it was the 2 different types of plastic, or I'm not exactly sure how they did it. I feel like I remember as a kid like trying to poke a pin through this hole in the back to see if it was like squishy because I thought it was a brain. So I still can't quite tell. It might just be that they stuck like something in through this hole and they sprayed blue paint. It may not actually be separate plastic. They may have just painted like the inside of that hollow cavity blue to kind of represent the brain in there. But I mean, it's a fantastic piece. I think it still holds up. Looks very cool.
I think it's definitely the highlight of the Crystal Skull wave.
Yeah.
'cause some of the builds are mediocre, but this figure is just.
Well, and you got, let's see, you got 3 of them in that set, and then I think you got one
They come in
in
the cemetery.
Was it the cemetery? Let's see.
It would make sense because that's where they found them.
Yeah, the
there
cemetery
it is.
came with one. I was thinking the tent one came with one, but I guess not, because that was where they were doing the scene where she like pulls the cloth off it.
There was one in the
like
scene,
torture.
but maybe they just didn't include
Yeah,
it.
interesting. So those might have been the only sets that came with it. I guess here I could verify this.
It's a
real quick.
relatively cheap piece still today, which
you'd
is
think
nice.
it'd be really expensive.
Which is
yeah.
surprising. Yeah,
Yeah,
It
considering
is surprising.
considering the sets that it came in. 3 sets.
This is the Comic-Con one.
Oh, the plane.
Oh, it comes
in
in
the
the
plane.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about that one next. So the Peril in Peru was sort of the large plane set. This one was kind of confusing to me. I honestly, whenever I saw this set and saw
Same.
that it was the plane,
Same.
I thought it was the plane from
From Raiders. Or,
Is it Raiders? No, Temple of Doom, where they get on the plane,
Oh, yeah.
and then the guy dumps the fuel and jumps out in the
That would be
parachute,
nice
and they
to
have
have
to
that.
parachute
Yeah,
out
when
in
I
the
was a
boat.
kid, I could never figure out which movie this one was from.
I just always thought it was that plane. I don't remember this plane being
I don't
in
either.
I think it
Crystal
was a
Skull,
deleted
but-
scene.
It
So
had
it's
to be.
supposed to be like a
Yeah.
moment in
Really?
the movie, but they deleted that scene.
I don't think
Oh,
I don't
that
recall
could be.
seeing
I don't
a
know.
big
I
plane
haven't
like
seen
that
Crystal
in
Skull in a
Crystal
long
Skull.
time.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
It very well could
Because
be.
Lego gets a lot of this before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we even got one with The Last Jedi, this walker that they completely
Oh, yeah.
deleted out of the movie. But we got a Lego set. So.
Yeah, right,
They
exactly.
got some.
Yeah,
the
I don't
art.
recall seeing that in the movie.
You
so
never
yeah,
know.
it
Sometimes
was
they get some bad
deleted.
info.
Mhm.
So that is, I mean, it's a cool plane. I mean, you get those sort of like half tanker top pieces, but they're in like transparent brown and they're printed. Kind of an unconventional way to do plane windows, but pretty cool nonetheless. And let's see. Then we will move on to the last 2008 set, Jungle Cruiser Polybag. It was just like a little Jeep, nothing
Yeah.
crazy.
I was subscribed to Brickmaster back in the day. And
Was
I
this a
actually got that
Brickmaster? Oh,
in the mail with
okay.
the Brickmaster. And it was
Ah,
probably
I
one of the
see.
best Brickmaster polybags I got. Because most of them didn't. Like, if I got a Star Wars one, it doesn't have minifigs. It's like a little
Yeah.
mini build. This one actually had a minifig. A build. It's nothing
That's
to do
exciting.
really. I guess there is a moment in the movie where there's like a chase in the jungle.
Mm.
I think that's what this is referring to.
Now this is
It's
interesting.
mini scale.
I just realized something looking at this picture. I think this build might be identical to the Toy Story Green Army Jeep.
Is it really?
That would be really.
I mean,
interesting.
just in glancing at this
Yeah.
and from what I remember about that set, I feel like it's the same like grill tiles on the front with the bar across and the same size wheels, and it's definitely got those panel pieces on the back because you can put the stretcher on it.
That's crazy.
So
I had that when I was.
somebody,
a kid.
let us know in the comments if you want
Yeah,
to look
let
at these
us know.
pictures closely. It might be an almost piece for
It's
piece
just a recolor.
recreate. Now I'm not. Maybe that one didn't have quite this detail with the mud guards on the side built out of the panels, but I feel like this is almost a direct remake.
It has that same time.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and then our final Crystal Skull set here is the Chowchilla Cemetery Battle. Pretty cool. So you had kind of that feature where the piece of terrain kind of flips over, and then
That's
you've
a
got
cool
the skeleton there with the treasure chest at the end, where they get the skull from. But pretty fun. You get Mutt on his motorcycle, and you get the Chowchilla Warriors, one of which has that cool skeleton mask,
Yeah,
and they've
it's
got like
pretty
the
cool.
blow dart tubes. So
That's dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
pretty fun little play set there. And then I guess next let's talk about sets that we did not ever get, because the next notable absence would be Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So I know you're excited about that, Alex. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I enjoyed the Dial of Destiny movie. It was good to see Indiana Jones fighting the Nazis and beating them up again.
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised by the Battle of Syracuse at the end. I actually
Yeah.
really enjoyed that. And when I was watching the movie, at this part, I got really excited because I'm like, they're supposed to be releasing some Lego sets in a few months in August, supposedly. And if we got a Battle of Syracuse set for this movie with like some Romans, Archimedes, Indiana Jones,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a plane or two, some siege weapons, I would just love that. And I think so much of the community would too, because we don't
Yeah.
get very much Roman stuff.
Because
Except the CMF line.
that would apply to Indiana Jones fans and Romans fans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was really
That'd be a
excited
double whammy.
about that. And so I was really sad when they just completely decided not to.
Yeah.
And there was no really word on it. They
Yeah.
just decided that they wanted to do this.
Yeah,
Those
there
three.
wasn't a single set for the fifth one.
Well, when there was the rumor that Indiana Jones was returning, and it was right around that same time period that the sets were coming out, a lot of people thought it was just going to be sets based on that,
Yeah.
with maybe a couple remakes, thrown in along the way. I mean, that's basically why we got all the Indiana Jones sets in the first place, was because they made this whole wave of Crystal Skull sets,
That's right.
and then threw in
We got
a
a few
good
old
number
ones.
of the classic things as well to kind of
Absolutely.
backtrack. But yeah, notable absence. Were there any other kind of scenes from that movie in particular you wish they had made?
I think that train where they de-aged Harrison Ford, just that
Yeah.
train fight would be really fun.
Yeah.
It's always cool to get a Lego train, but I've always wanted one with Indiana Jones. We can talk about this, later with The Last Crusade. There's another one, but this would be a really cool one. I think it's a fun kind
Yeah.
of fight scene.
Yeah.
You have different artifacts in the train too.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they had done that one as well.
For sure. I mean, you can talk about the other train from Last Crusade too, if you want to talk
Yeah,
about
we
that
can
one.
jump into that one. So I would love, again, just the Indiana Jones train. It doesn't matter which movie they do it in.
Yeah.
But that beginning scene
You could
of
do it
young
like
Indy
the UCS Hogwarts Express and just do scenes from all different movies in the same train. Who cares?
Yeah,
Why not?
Just put different minifigures in there. That'd be nice because you have
Anything
all
goes.
You have all those the different circus animals. You've got young Indy in his Boy Scout uniform.
That'd be cool.
You've got everybody that was going after Coronado's Cross. Kind of the evil Indiana Jones figure.
Yeah. The guy who gives him the fedora.
The guy who's looking out
based
for
his
himself.
whole personality
Yeah.
off of.
Yeah. And so
I know Lego would
fun
never do it as a piece, but
scene.
it would be cool to get the cross of Coronado like
That
as a
would be
piece, or at least
really
printed
cool.
on a torso
like,
or something.
the sort of Gryffindor with like the gems
Right.
on it.
Yeah,
that would
for
look
sure.
really cool,
Yeah.
especially today with the technology they have in the double mold.
Given the
Yeah.
religious context,
Probably not.
they would never do
Yeah.
it, which is a shame because I feel like the religious aspects is such like a fundamental part of Indiana Jones, especially with like the treasure
The first
hunting
few,
and
yeah.
religious artifacts and things. So yeah, kind of a missed opportunity there, but I think they did pretty good with the things they did include, like the Ark of the Covenant and some of those other things.
What are some of the other ones you would want to see?
As far as sets that we didn't get, all right, here's my pitch. I would have loved to see another. We talked about the fighter planes. It's like a 2-in-1 set. I would have loved to seen Captain Katanga's boat and then the German U-boat as like a 2-pack kind of thing.
That would be nice.
The German
Huge,
U-boat
yeah.
could have been, not a huge thing, or maybe it's just like the top of it, like it's sticking out of the
Yeah.
water, and then Captain Katanga's boat. You could have had, missiles or something, and his boat could blow up.
That
or,
would be a fun play.
And then we'll also talk about like minifigures that we missed, but I think Captain Katanga was another like absence. I think he would have
Yeah.
been
He
cool to
would've
get a
been a great
minifigure
minifigure.
based on him. He was a pretty cool character, so
That would
that's
be great to
my
get.
pitch.
Yeah.
Ethan, what do you got?
That's awesome.
I have a small handful actually. So
A handful. All right.
I got I can't believe we didn't get this, but the Temple of the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
I've
I've
seen-
seen
so good, all the
I've seen
different
like some
rooms.
like mock-ups of it, kind of like based on this one relatively, but
That works so well.
I can't believe we didn't get it. And we got the Grail from the CMF like pottery lady. It was
Right.
in the nougat color.
Just the dark orange
So
goblet.
we have
Yeah.
that
the
Grail,
Carpenter.
and yeah, we just never got it. I would have loved to have seen like some like sliding like blades or saws
Yeah,
like,
you gotta
fly
do
out of the
that.
wall like this.
Well, so something that's interesting, if you wish they had made this, there was a, Prince of Persia set that was sort of like a temple with a bunch of these traps, and it had a lot of the like same kind of types of traps. So they
Oh,
were
yeah,
like,
really?
it
That's
was
for
those
fun.
same giant saw pieces from the
Oh.
Jungle Cutter, which kind of came in sideways, which sort of reminds me of the part where he like ducks
Yeah.
and rolls under the giant spinning metal saw blade disc thing.
Maybe that's what Lego thought. They're like, oh, we already made it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, you could have done like the
Yeah.
little thin like bridge that they have to walk across, and then like the thing with Jehovah where you gotta hop.
Yeah, you could have gotten like the seal, and then like maybe like somewhere like the ground splits. You could have gotten the knight. You could have gotten the main antagonist of Last Crusade. I can't remember his name right now, but the dude who like gives him the two like slabs or whatever. But
Who gets old really fast.
yeah,
Yeah.
who like ages like that. They could have done like a little like spinny thing where he rotates, and it's like
No,
like-
That would have been cool.
So-
Yeah,
this like crusty dude that
at
Yeah.
least two
Yeah.
different faces, if not
Yeah.
like two whole different minifigures. or
could have
something.
gotten a new what's her name? The
Oh,
blonde
Elsa.
chick.
Elsa, yeah.
Yep. Could have gotten a new one of her. Big missed opportunity. I feel like I would have rather gotten that than this one because we've already gotten this scene. But
Yeah.
oh
Well,
well.
that was something I didn't mention earlier, but when they remade this temple set, it was so interesting how similar it was to the old one in terms of structure. I mean, it
Yeah.
follows basically the exact
Yeah.
same linear path. It even has the same like curved footprint,
yeah.
and it's like, I mean, obviously it was intentional that they redesigned it that way, but it's like, why did they feel constrained to do it that way? Like,
I don't know.
it could have been linear, or it could have been totally different. It could have been mirror image. It could have been
Yeah.
straight. So it's like, I don't know. It's
It
just
is
it
like
was
a
very
direct
interesting
remake,
to me
yeah.
that the basic structure, like if you really squint your eyes, they would almost look the same in
Yeah.
terms of the way that they chose to lay it out and set it up. I guess just because the first one was so successful, they figured, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's true.
But just sort of another interesting thing about that set.
Yeah. Another one I do kind of wish they would make that I feel like nobody really talks about is the rope bridge from the end of Temple of Doom, where it could have like broken down. You could have gotten like a Malaram and an Indiana Jones with like, you know, all the things. You could have gotten basically the main cast of Temple
some
of Doom.
alligators below.
Yeah, you could have had some alligators with some nice water detail, and I think it would have been a fun one.
They could have even done that pretty simply. Back in 2008, I think that like one single molded rope bridge piece was still in production, because it was in some of those later Pirates sets in dark tan. They basically could have included one of those, and it only would have been like a $20 or $25 set, you know, if you just had that and a couple of the minifigures and 2 cliff sections, and it, you know, can kind of drop down
to get like
Malaram
and like a $30 set.
Another one, another opportunity to get Malaram for sure. Yeah, instead, how much does he go for now? Do we
like
even
$50 probably for an original?
$50 to $60.
Such a nice minifig.
Yeah.
First usage of that sort of. Well, maybe not. Maybe it came on some cows first.
I think
was
it might
thinking
have
those
come on
curved
some
horn
cows,
pieces. But anyway, those are still around in production. But a cool way they did that for sure. What else? Do we have any other sets that we wish they had made?
I would have loved to have seen Club Obi-Wan with a redone white tux Indy, the little like rolling like coin or whatever it is that he like
just like a big gong.
Or it's probably a gong. I'm thinking Batman
more of the interior scenes, like maybe the table with like the Lazy Susan and the.
I would have loved to have seen like
really
a flick fire missile, like a flaming kebab that you could like shoot
right in the guy's
shoot
chest.
like at one of the like gangsters.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny. That would.
And
be
then
good.
like a new Willie Scott, you know, with her little getup. I think that was always a really cool figure. So it would be nice to see it, but we probably never will. So very sad.
Even if the Temple of Doom set had come out, I feel like there were still some things that were missing, and maybe it was because Lego deemed it was too far. But like obviously the bigger statue of what's the guy's name, Kalimar, on top
I was surprised
looked much
they
better.
had that in the set.
Given the slight kind of religious or cult context. But like I would have loved to see like the cage that you actually put the minifigs in and lower down through the hole.
I'm surprised that I'm not surprised, but I really wish we could have gotten that with the new one.
Yeah. Because, I mean, with the original one, they just had it where the trapdoor kind of dropped you into the minecart. In this one, the trapdoor did drop you into the lava.
Yeah.
But,
we still need the cage.
I would have loved to have seen the cage
that
with, like, the big chains that, like,
yeah.
lower it down through the trapdoor. I think would have been really
with, like,
sick.
the screaming guy.
Yeah.
He's probably a little sweaty.
Now, I'm not saying they had to give him, like, his
no.
bleeding heart or anything coming out of his chest.
But a fun little cage to lower down would be such a fun time. Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for some mocks or some customs. I'd love to see somebody mock build this with the cage and then maybe take like the Davy Jones heart piece or something like that. That'd be great. I'm sure some people have done this.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, I think if we don't have any other sets that we wish that they had made, I think we've covered a lot of the figs that kind of would have been included in those sets, but just kind of run them down. The Maharaja, I think, would have been a fantastic minifigure to get. We've gotten, obviously, those turban pieces, and they've got, like, the little hole in front. And there was Genie CMF, I think, that came with, like, a little gem in front that would have made a really cool thing for sort of that more decorative kind of Maharaja.
I forgot one set that I would have loved to have seen from the Temple of Doom. I guess it's kind of two. There's, like, the... trip to the Bangkok Palace, just a $30, $40 set with some elephants, a little campfire, and the main, cast. Short round, Willie Scott, Indiana Jones.
That would have been
good.
Put
some snakes and stuff.
Yeah.
That would have been, and, animals like a bat or something would be really fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Walter
but Bangkok
Donovan.
Palace too would be a cool set, even if it was like a small micro build. That would be really pretty.
It would have been cool. Did you figure out what his name was?
Walter Donovan.
That's right. The guy who ages really fast.
It's funny.
Cool
he plays, his name's like General Veers in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good bad guy.
I didn't realize that all this time.
Yeah. I think a spin around face would be like with the DH, like dead face would be such a fun little feature, but
would have been a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Would have been pretty cool. But then, as far as minifigures, I also mentioned Captain Katanga. Maybe like the village elder from the scene with like the Shankara stones when they go and they're like eating.
They could use that new like Doc Brown hairpiece.
Right. Yeah. Because I remember him being in the video game and he had like this crazy hairpiece.
He had like the Anakin hair, but it was like cut out in the middle.
It was just kind of stuck like on the top of his head, which was funny. And then the minifigure that I really would have loved to get gotten the most was the Grail Knight, if they had ever done
Yeah,
a
I
Temple
really
of
That
Holy
would have been a
Grail.
nice minifigure.
Something else they really could have done that would have been cool if they had done that set was actually done the exterior of it, because they filmed that in Petra with that
Yeah.
outside sort of carved into the mountain front. And I think I talked about that also, maybe on I think it was on the architecture between the studs in terms of sets we wish we would get.
That'd be a
Doing
nice one to
Petra
get.
kind of as one of the wonders of the world would have been a cool architecture set, but they also could have done it as an Indiana Jones set, so
Yeah.
would have been pretty neat. Let's see. Did y'all have any other like sets or figures or anything that you wish they had made?
We needed Marcus Brody. He was in a lot of the
Yeah,
movies,
Marcus
and we
Brody,
never got him.
yeah.
We got Sala, thankfully, but
Yeah.
no Marcus Brody, so that was a shame.
Yeah.
That's too bad. That's too bad. All right, so we will cover just a few more of the other things that they made with Indiana Jones. So there's a very rare San Diego Comic-Con 2008 exclusive that they came out, which we can show some pictures of here. It came in a cool box that sort of looked like a wooden crate. And then included just a few things. It had that Jungle Cruiser poly bag,
It did.
2 minifigures, and then a number of extra pieces to build. It was sort of just like a pit that you
It was
kind
like
of
a crash site.
drive the Jeep
Yeah.
into. But what I think was really interesting was it included 2 entire sticker sheets for the original Temple Escape set because it
So
had the
interesting.
ramp piece with just like the vines and the spider. So they included
Weird.
2 entire sticker sheets for that set, just
So
basically for that
That's
sticker.
crazy.
Sort of random, but a pretty rare set for sure, with that being a San Diego Comic-Con set. And then even rarer than that, there was a 2008 Toy Fair giveaway that was limited to 100 copies, which was to promote the start of Lego Indiana Jones, and it was a transformation chamber which turned Han Solo into Indiana Jones, saying like, "Hey, we've done
love
Lego
that.
Star Wars, now here
Yes,
comes
Indiana
Lego
Jones.
Indiana Jones." So. A much rarer collectible that I'm sure is sought out both by Lego Star Wars collectors and Lego Indiana Jones collectors. So just kind
Also,
of 2 extra interesting things there.
One thing before we move on, the Gringotts UCS sort of set.
Yeah.
I really wish it would have been. I wish we would have gotten the what's the palace called in Temple of Doom?
Pankot Palace.
Pankot's Palace with like a Temple of Doom like cart chase or something.
Have it all in one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Pankot
nice.
Palace on top.
Yeah,
and
and then
the
have like
off.
lava underneath or
Yeah,
something. I feel
that
like that'd
would
be
be
such
cool.
a fun set.
Yeah.
Because you could have like the gross dinner scene and like all the different rooms. and,
Yeah. I see why
I feel
they
like maybe
don't-
like 4 people would want that, but that'd be such a fun one to see.
I see
like,
why they
made.
don't make a lot of Lego sets based on Temple of Doom. There's just a
Yeah,
whole host
it's
of
a-
issues. There's a
yeah.
lot of like cultural appropriation and misrepresentation
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
With things like the dinner scene,
Mhm.
as well as issues of slavery and things like that.
It's a
so-
very intense movie.
For sure,
Yeah.
and I think that movie in general was not a lot of people's favorite anyway, which is why they maybe figure that the sets wouldn't sell very well.
Didn't
anyway.
they like create the PG-13 rating just
They
because of
had
that
to,
movie?
yeah.
Maybe,
I think that
might be
movie
true.
was that's
Yeah.
like what changed the ratings. But yeah,
But there are still a lot of fun scenes that I think we kind of wish they had done.
yeah.
But so and then sort of the last thing I think that we really need to talk about here, actually 2 more things, but one of the big ones is the Lego Indiana Jones video games.
Oh yeah.
So they made not 1 but 2 video games based on Indiana Jones, which is pretty rare for Lego video games that they go back and remake something,
Mhm.
as opposed to like Harry Potter where they split it into 2. So did either of you guys have any experience with these video games, playing them growing up?
Yeah, I loved the old video games. I used to play. I think it was the second one on my DS back in like
Okay.
early 2000s, and then I think just a month ago I bought the original Adventures on my PC, and
Okay.
I've been playing through
Nice.
that, and it's such a fun time. I think I'm still like in the middle of Raiders of the Lost Ark, but
Yeah.
it's so fun.
so fun.
So that's so interesting. So you originally, when you were younger, only played the second version, but
I
now
think
you're going
so.
back and playing the original
Yeah.
version? Okay.
So
How about you, Alex?
it's
I only
fun.
played the original version on
Okay.
the DS because it always got me that the versions were different when you played the DS versus like on the Wii.
It's true.
It was
Right,
very
or like
different,
PlayStation or
like,
something. Yeah.
gameplay
Totally
and
different.
everything.
Yeah.
So I got to enjoy the DS one, but I loved it just to relive those adventures. I always enjoyed watching the movies,
Mhm.
but to do it in Lego, I played for hours and hours. So much fun.
Nice. Nice.
How about you?
I did play the original version. I had it on, gosh, PlayStation 3, I guess it would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a blast. I loved all the like little mini game puzzles where you're like matching the symbols and things and collecting the mini kits, which look like little golden treasure chests, which we talked about earlier. So kind of the way that they rebranded some of those things from the other Traveler's Tales games for the Indiana Jones
One thing
games was
I
just
did notice
fun.
while I'm playing through it, most of the figures they made for the actual sets are not in the game. Like you have like Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
but then you, like Mala Ram, like his flesh tone's like regular, like white flesh tone. I think even Marion Ravenwood is different. Like I think just about like every character is slightly different. Maybe besides like Satipo, the original one, he's pretty accurate. But
I
like
mean, the game released in 2008, which is the same year the sets came out, so maybe they just weren't talking with Lego at that time and syncing up on what they were doing.
It's really interesting because I've played through it and like most of the characters are very different from the official sets compared to the game version, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering, kind of where this was in the chronology of Traveler's Tales games that Lego made in terms of, like, maybe early on they just weren't getting along with Lego and interacting with them as much as opposed to just kind of doing their thing. I mean, this was one of the very early video games. I mean, apart from some of those early Lego Star Wars ones, I feel like this was
maybe the Batman
one of the first ones after
one of the
that.
first,
I mean, even the Batman ones are not... I guess they're somewhat tied to the minifigures, but there were a lot of characters that did not line up with the actual physical toys. So, yeah, I guess it wasn't really how they worked back then. It wasn't until later on that they kind of brought that more in brand. So I think one of the last things that I had on my list to talk about was just sort of the representation of military and some of these other kind of controversial topics in the Lego sets. So, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, there was no representation of any, sort of imagery that were associated with some of those groups. But there were obviously lots of, guns and explosions and ammo boxes and gas cans. And, I mean, while they didn't do any of the stuff with the Germans in the previous ones in terms of uniforms or symbols or anything, we did get Russian vehicles, which had CCCP, which is basically just the Russian version for USSR, which was the, Soviet communist Russia. So just kind of an interesting thing in the way that they've done it back in the original sets.
Yeah,
but
I'm surprised they even went back and did it again with the plane chase one.
Sure. It's very surprising of Lego.
Especially with the camo detail, they just didn't hold back. Like they went full on, even with the Russian pilot.
Yeah, in those let's see, what was it, 2024 from 2009? In that 15-year gap, I mean, it's surprising that Lego standards still allowed them to make some of these things.
Yeah, for sure.
I
So,
mean, they don't add like symbols or decals or anything.
Yeah,
probably.
for sure.
That's probably where they come.
That'd probably be a huge problem.
And we'll just make it, but we won't add anything on it.
Indiana Jones is a tricky one, both just because it has so many ties to military, but also religious aspects, which are literally two of Lego's like biggest no-nos. So I'm glad they're still able to make it and deem that it's able to work with their standards. But it's definitely very surprising.
It's honestly surprising.
Tricky
we've even
territory.
gotten any sets from
it really is,
for sure.
Considering how gory they are. All the other things.
So even though it's surprising, I really wish, especially with this new wave, we had gotten more.
Oh, me too.
Really
absolutely.
Sad that we only got 3.
Yeah. Maybe if they had sold better or something else, they might have given us a second wave. But it looks like it's going back on the shelf for now. So I don't know if we'll ever see it again. I'm pretty sure they're done making Indiana Jones movies at this point.
Unless they recast him.
Unless they recast
I can't imagine
him,
Harrison doing anymore.
I think it may be done. So now's the time to get them if you're trying to get any of those sets. They're only ever going to go up in price more. So. I think that's going to about do it for us today. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to mention about Lego Indiana Jones on this Between the Studs deep dive? Pretty much covered it?
I think it's a fantastic theme, and I wish we would have gotten more.
Yeah. How about you, Alex? Any other parting words?
Yeah, I wish as well. I think, that's what we're all feeling.
Yeah.
So I wish we had gotten more. Many of you out there, too.
For sure.
But I am thankful for what we've gotten. It's for only 3 years. I'm really surprised how much we have.
We do have an impressive layout for sure.
Pretty good.
But,
But anyway, we want to thank you all for joining us for this episode of Between the Studs. Please let us know in the comments if you had any other sets or minifigures that you think that they should have made based on Indiana Jones. I think it'd be fun to hear y'all chime in with what y'all wish we would have gotten if you didn't hear us talk about it. Or even what your favorite sets or minifigs were that came out. So let us know. Join the discussion down in the comments. You can also hit that like button. It's really easy. It's really free, and it helps the channel out a lot. We would really appreciate it. You can also subscribe to our content here on Atlanta Brickco TV. And if you want to purchase any of these things that you see here on the table, I think basically everything except for this temple, which belongs to Ethan, you can find on our website, atlbrick.com. You can go check it out there. But thank you all for joining us for this episode of Between the Studs, and we will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.